Torill, congratulations on your short film, Maybe Elephants.
Thank you.
Now it's
And thank
a
you for having me here today.
yeah, it's a pleasure. And right now your short films are it's going through that gauntlet of film festivals. How's your journey been so far?
Well, it's been really exciting, actually. I mean, I kind of feel like when your first festival, I mean, you've just finished your film and your first festival is Annecy, it's kind of like you hit the ground running, which is fun. And it kind of gets a bit of momentum going. And then I've been to a couple of festivals in Scandinavia, and it went to TIFF and Ottawa Animation Festival, and I'm just home from Animation is Film in LA, going next week to Spark Animation in Vancouver. And the film is also going to all kinds of places where I can't travel with it because can only travel so much. Yeah, so but
Well,
it's going. I'm really happy. It's had a really great first 6 months of its life, so I can't complain.
well said, well said. I'm very happy for you. So, Torill, tell us where the original idea came from for Maybe Elephants.
So I'm not sure that it was like a one original idea. I think that it's a story that has simmered at the back of my head for a while. The story being that when I was a teenager, my sisters were teenagers as well, and my parents had this idea, maybe a bit misguided at the time of moving to Kenya, Nairobi, Kenya. And I say misguided only because I don't think any of us really knew what we were getting into. So it was, uh, a big experience for all of us. And I think it was a shifting point in our family for better and for worse. And I have always been kind of curious about what that experience of uprooting from a very sort of cozy comfort zone that we had in our small Norwegian town and moving to a really, really big city of Nairobi without really being. I mean, we'd never been anywhere else before. I mean, this was Norway in the 1970s, and people didn't travel the way people travel now. And the world outside our little world was basically an unknown to us. And then suddenly there we were in this big, bustling city, exciting country, and it was a really powerful, kind of life-changing experience. I really loved it, and those 3 years went really fast. And it's been a really long time since I was there, but I kind of feel like it still lingers. And which brings me to this idea of memories from our pasts and how well we really remember them, and how they can really contribute to shaping our lives, even if we don't remember them that well. So that's, basically in a nutshell, what I was thinking about when I was starting out working on it.
For yourself, was the your experience as a teen in Nairobi, was that one of the happiest moments of your life?
There were certainly moments in those 3 years that at the time I would probably say were the happiest of my life. Um, I think there's one memory in particular that just will just stay with me forever. It was the first time I saw the Indian Ocean from a little campsite on a beautiful beach just south of Mombasa. And it was just one of those experiences where I just could not literally believe my eyes. It was just so breathtakingly beautiful. And it was such a powerful sensory experience. I mean, the smells and the light and the sounds and just the vastness of the ocean and the beauty of the surroundings was really they made a huge impression on me. And I think it's just so that was one of them. And then there were really exciting, happy times with my family when we went on these crazy road trips. But we had no experience doing road trips at all. I mean, we barely had a car before we moved to Nairobi, and yeah, and then just I don't know. There were many things. And I think also making connections with people in Kenya, like our new friendships with people who were from there, experiences I had in the school that I went to, you know, lots of things. Yeah.
I I found it fascinating about this film is that everyone seems to have a different interpretation of their memories. Of
Yeah, yeah. Hmm.
have you ever discussed that with your family per se?
Yeah, we do. I mean, I think this is probably something that's typical of many families with siblings. And then, you get together when you're older and you tell stories about the past, and everybody has got a different take on what really happened, right? It was like, and there are many things like that in my, when I talk with my sisters, I was like, no, that's not how it was. And I mean, my sister sent me. I asked her if she could dig up some photographs from Kenya, and she said, there actually aren't that many. And I was like, how's that possible? Our dad took pictures all the time, but she found one, which is a photograph of our mother and my two sisters and me sitting on the stoop, the back of our house in Nairobi, and there's a dog there, a big German Shepherd. And I texted my sister back and wrote, I don't remember there being a dog. I don't remember there being a dog in this house. Whose dog was that? And she said, "Oh, that's Rita. That was our German Shepherd." But I thought we got her much later. So I have no memories of there being a dog in that house. So stuff like that. And then of course there is the episode of the elephants and the campsite. And I have actually never discussed that with my sisters yet, even though at least one of them have now seen the film. I don't really know if that happened or not. In my memory, it's very real that it happened, and I'm maybe I don't really want them to tell me that it never happened. I just kind of like to keep it the way it is.
Yeah, I'm glad you get along with your siblings so much. Do you often like to do these type of stories of it's almost like an autobiography in its own way?
So I would say that this is my second one. I mean, the film that I made in 2015, I think it was, Me and My Molten. That was also very much based on this family lore, right? Like, how weird were our parents, and oh my gosh, the dresses our mom made for us, and that crazy bike, and um, there's definitely. I think there's a period when you're growing up when you start kind of becoming aware of yourself and your family and the world, and you start looking at them with slightly different eyes. And I think a lot of interesting thoughts happen around that time. So Me and My Molten is based on that. Um, Maybe Elephants is more. It's like it's a little bit more complicated because in there comes the cat. I have one here too. He's right next to me. There he is.
There you go.
Um, anyway, yeah, so this film is probably more autobiographical than the other ones that I've made. But I think I wanted to kind of make a point too about my mom. And I mean, she was a really interesting person. She was kind of like the first superwoman that I knew.
Mm.
She kind of did everything, and she did everything really well, and she always wanted more. And I think she was this woman who, kind of felt like she was. I mean, she was ambitious, but she was also hungry for experiences. And I think some of that hunger came from, some of that hunger, the source of that was that she had this cloud of sadness over her. And I think she um, tried different ways to escape.
And how is your family now?
My family?
Yeah. Are you all still?
So no, my parents passed several years ago, both of them. So now it's like mm, my two sisters and myself, and there's a grandnephew in the game now. Um, so that's what's left of us.
Well, you're
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure you're still having adventures, so that's more chapters
Oh,
to.
absolutely. Yeah, yeah, totally. Just, yeah, just,
So
still things to do.
so tell us about the decision to do a, 2D animation for this short film. Is it all hand drawn?
Yeah, it's all hand drawn. Well, I mean, that's just kind of how I do things. So it's not something that I have to sit down and think about, At least so far that hasn't been really a question. I mean, my first sort of artistic expressions for a story is always a drawing, and then for me it's always been natural to do 2D animation. I have never tried anything else, and it seemed and continued to seem natural for this film, just because it is a personal film, and there's a certain kind of I think closeness and intimacy that comes along with a drawn line. Not saying other techniques can't do that, but for me that's always been the best way to do it. And yeah, so I think that visually this film is maybe a bit more layered and complex than my previous films have been. The style is still quite naive, but it's fleshed out with color and depth and texture a little more than my other films have been. I worked with an art director this time, and I think that was really helpful. Um, yeah, so that's basically, that's just kind of my go-to way of doing things.
Now, from my understanding, you also did something different with this film with voice acting too, along those lines.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I decided this time to just use my own voice, and that was really because I worked on the animatic from my storyboard, and I had my written. I mean, the first thing that I do is I write the story, right? And then the drawings kind of come along, and it's a process of dividing the story into suitable sequences and scenes, and then, fit the drawings and the animation onto it. And as I was doing this, I really needed to have a guide track for the narration. And I didn't really want to bring anybody into the studio to record the story that way I had written it, because I knew that it was going to change as I built the images and the scenes to it, right? So as I was working on the animatic, I just had a recorder next to me on my desk, and I would kind of re rewrite the text as I was drawing. And as I was doing this, I was really kind of getting into playing all the characters and playing myself and all that. So when the animatic was locked, I had gotten so used to just listening to myself doing it, I couldn't really imagine bringing someone else in. I think it would have been really difficult to direct someone to be me. And then we thought, why bother? We'll just bring a voice coach in to help me be a better me.
Hmm.
And then we hired actors to do all the other voices. So yeah, so that was really fun for me. I have to say that was a really kind of like eye-opening experience to yeah, to do my own voiceover, and to kind of um, hand over the direction of it to somebody else. I thought that was a really interesting process, because he was really kind of he really had to understand what I was trying to do, and he did. So it was um, it was quite inspiring, actually.
Now, now the music with your short film, because you presented first the the piano accompaniment. Could you
Mhm.
address the piano music in your film first?
In this particular film?
Yes.
Yeah. Um, yeah, so the music in this film, I mean, it's different than my other films too, because usually my husband Kevin Dean has done the score, and this time I asked Luigi Alamano to do it. And the piano music is there because my father played the piano when I was a kid. Well, he always played the piano. And the way that I'd written the story, there was a sentence about, mom would take long walks while my father played melancholy Scandinavian folk tunes in minor key. That's kind of how it went. And so I kind of just thought I wanted to keep that part of it. I wanted to start off with the piano music, and then it gets other instruments, different kinds of music kind of enter the score later on. But I wanted the piano music there in the beginning because I associate that particular piece of music with something that's really deeply kind of Scandinavian. So I wanted that piano music to kind of help bring out the Nordic aspect of the story.
Absolutely. Now tell us about the Kenyan music. What was it? Kenyan music was introduced into this film?
Yeah, so Luigi had, he had this kind of impossible task of creating a soundtrack that sounded authentic and Kenyan without him actually ever having written any kind of music that is supposed to sound Kenyan and African before. And so we we talked in the beginning about trying to find Kenyan musicians in Montreal that could participate on the project, and we didn't really find anybody. And then we both kind of did some research into both traditional Kenyan music and more sort of contemporary folk music. And in this process, we came across this instrument called the niatiti, which is basically like a lute
Hmm.
that is typical of a tribe in Kenya called the Luo. It's kind of in northwestern Kenya, I think. Maybe I shouldn't say that. I could be wrong about the location. Um, and it's an instrument that was made famous in the West, or that people have become more aware of outside of Africa, because it was a big part of the score of a film called The Constant Garden. I don't know if you remember that, but it has like beautiful. It's a film that takes place in Kenya partly, and it has a gorgeous score of Nyatiti instruments. So, and there's something very melancholy and beautiful of in that instrument. And both Luigi and I thought it would be great to find somebody who could play that in ideally somebody in Canada. And but so we couldn't find that, but we did find David Onyango, who's Kenyan, but he lives in Sweden.
Mhm.
Uh, and in Sweden, he has this band that he performs with that plays this really cool, interesting kind of fusion of Western music, African music, traditional and contemporary. And he plays the Niatiti and he sings. So we contacted him. And because this film was a co-production between Norway and Canada, and Norway is right next to Sweden, so it's like not a big distance. We managed to set it up for David to record the Nyatiti and sing with his group in Stockholm. And we just recorded this virtually, and I am profoundly grateful to have that be part of the score, because I think it just adds so much atmosphere. And I think particularly when David both plays and sings, I think there is something so beautifully mournful about his singing that I think just, you know, it kind of defines those moments, I think, at the end of the film where we can hear him do the singing. Yeah,
Absolutely. I think that's actually beautiful on how you
yeah,
put
gorgeous.
it all together. So,
Yeah.
Torill, for yourself, what's up next? Are you planning more short films, or possibly a feature film down the road?
I right now I'm kind of thinking about my next short that I would like to do, you know, pretty soon, I hope. And I don't have any plans for a feature. I have directed a feature in the past, and it's a very interesting experience, but it's a very it's a very long process. And I think the length of the feature making process frightens me a little bit
Mhm.
because well, yeah, just because, it takes so much time, and I'm getting to be, getting to a part of my life where it's really kind of feeling like, or in a kind of awareness that I don't have unlimited amounts of it. And also, but I think most importantly, right now, I don't have a feature story idea. And I think if I were to make another feature, I would also want to, if not write the script entirely, at least be part of it. So we'll see. Yeah,
We'll see. Absolutely.
it would be interesting to do it again. I just don't exactly know how it's going to fit into my schedule right now.
Excellent. Well, Tor, one last question. When was the last time you went back to Nairobi or Kenya?
Oh my gosh, it's a really long time ago. I think I was there in 1989. Um, so it's been a long time. I would so much love to go back. Um, and I mean, my dream come true would be if some festival somewhere in East Africa would invite it to come and play. It's like, and then maybe I could go. Um, Yeah, I think to me to go back to Kenya would feel a little bit like some kind of, I don't know, pilgrimage or something like that. I would just love to, go to Kenya and experience again the sort of the sensory experience of the smells and the sounds and everything. Um and I do actually still know people there. So yeah, maybe one day I would love to do that. Yeah.
Well, most excellent, and maybe you'll see elephants.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I'd like to take that road, that bumpy road through the palm tree forest, towards from the main road down to the beach, Diani Beach, south of Mombasa, and just have that view again one more time, stick my feet in the ocean and just kind of feel the presence of the place.
That is beautiful. Well, you crafted a beautiful story with maybe elephants, Torill. Thank you very much for
Thank
speaking,
you.
and enjoy the rest of the
I,
festival circuit. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Hey, no,
Okay,
thank you.
bye bye.
Bye.